It's the Dad the Rock After Show. Now, here's Chris and Sean.
Welcome back once again to the Dad and the Rock After Show. This is Sean.
And this is Chris.
Then we're talking about Lord of the Rings of Power, Episode 5. I don't know the title.
Halls of Stone.
Halls of Stone. We're getting stoned this episode. I just watched it, just got done with it myself. And maybe I was a little too comfortable. Maybe it's because I've been up since 5:30 this morning, but I was watching intently and then dozing off, and then watching intently and then dozing off. So I don't know if that's the episode's fault or mine, but we'll just try to talk about it as much as I can.
Okay. Well, guys, before we get too deep in this, we're Dad and Rock. We are two guys watching this stuff for fun and talking about it. And if you're watching with us, join in the conversation. Go ahead and drop a comment. We'll bring it up live as we're going. And hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Let other people know that, we're just here chilling. But
yeah, this episode, I don't know if we should do it. It seems to go easier when we talk about it character by character. There was very little Elrond, and the only thing he did was just kind of run home to Elf headquarters in Rivendell and let the king know. Is he a king technically? Is he king of the elves?
he's the High King. Yeah, he's the High King.
Yeah. That basically something. I don't know. It seems like he was delivering news that the king already knew. I don't know. The king didn't seem very surprised by Elrond barging in there.
Well, he was going over, the ring was showing him basically the battle that was going to take place.
Yeah.
And then he was also like, he had his high general saying, we got to go to Mordor to fight Sauron there. So
Yeah.
they're like, we can't split up our military to go in both directions. So he's like, we're going here.
So they think, so he's already sent an army to where he think Attar is, right?
Yeah. He said he can't battle Adar and Sauron at the same time. So he's saying, you know what? Who cares what Adar is doing right now? We're taking care of Saruman. Wow.
Sauron, yeah.
Yeah.
But little does he know that Attar and Sauron are basically both near.
Yeah, they're both in that one city. And
yeah.
I can't think of the name of that city that they're actually going to, but they're both there at the same time.
Right.
So like those two are enemies. So they're fighting each other. And really all else had to do is show up and just kind of help a little bit. And this whole thing would have been, not a story.
So it looks like we're heading towards a big showdown at the Celebrimbor city there with okay.
I mean, they've given us a lot of the hints towards it. The trailers and everything have shown it. The visions in the Palantir have shown it. Even the visions that the rings are giving the elves, we're seeing it. The dry riverbeds, the fish, all of that. It's all leading to a head right there. After the final 9 rings are made for men.
Oh yeah, which I don't know. There's one thing about this episode too, where it's just like, I kind of mentioned this last week. We're just like pressing fast forward here on a lot of the story. It feels like right now it's movie pacing. Like last episode was like slow, but it was also like a full season of television. You're introduced to the world again, introduced to all the characters. So like I understand that. And then this, it almost feels like it's almost like movie pacing, man. It's just like here's all within like half of an episode. We've got all 7 of the dwarf rings made, and they're passed along to a bunch of dwarven characters that we don't really know who the hell they are.
Well, I don't think they've moved on yet. The rings are still sitting there in Khazad-dûm. They were made off camera. We came into this episode and they were all sitting there.
Yeah.
And Durin had them, King Durin. And then he had those basically messengers or people that just came from the other clans that were at the table. And he was sending them out to bring the people, the other Dwarven kings to go ahead and get their rings. So they haven't even left Khazad-dûm yet. But he's saying you got to pay, all these ties and everything to go ahead and be able to receive these rings.
I don't know. It's so jarring because the first season was such a introduction to everything, and like no rings were made. And then here it's like, okay, season 2, we're just gonna make all the rest of the rings. And I thought maybe they'd take a little bit more time introducing us to who the actual ring bearers would be, you know?
Yeah, but I think they also heard the criticism of how slow the season was, how like it wasn't clicking for everybody. So they are
Yeah.
kind of addressing that in that aspect and moving things along. And it's working apparently. Ratings are through the roof for it this season. Like it started at half of what it was from last season,
Yeah.
and then it ramped up. It's through the roof right now. And they came out and said they still intend on doing 5 seasons of the show. So
5.
yeah, it's a total of 5. I think that's been the plan the whole time.
Okay.
So they need to get the rings out there. Everyone needs to have a ring. I think to the point we're to that point now. They hit the gas pedal so much now that we need to get the rings out there. We need basically everything else happening. Everything else needs to fall into place now.
That's 19 rings that we gotta keep track of. Rings of power, I think maybe like it just feels glossed over to me. I don't know. I mean, not this show has like so many characters as is. Like there's a lot of characters in this show. And I would think that a show called Rings of Power that's dedicated to the rings, we would like know, and maybe we are. Maybe, if there's still 3 more seasons after this, I mean, who knows? But I feel like we would
I,
know more about who
I
is
think
getting
it's
these rings.
irrelevant. I think it's irrelevant who has the rings because we know the ring that's going to be controlling it all. So once that ring is made, the other rings are the only ones that are really important are the 3 that were for the dwarves, not dwarves, for the elves, and the one
Yeah.
that controls them all. The other was that 16
16. Mhm.
are completely irrelevant because we know they're going to fall in the shadow. It's going to be corrupted by all of them. The elves know that to take the rings off, so they can't use
Mm.
them. While Sauron has the one ring that can control them all. So really,
Yeah.
the rings it's named Rings of Power, but the Rings of Power is Ring of Power, and it's going to destroy the rest of them. So it's
Okay.
really it's about, in my mind, it's more about the characters that are what's happening, the fall essentially of Middle Earth until the battle that we know Isildur chops the ring off of Sauron's hand.
Yeah.
Sauron's hand, yeah.
What are some other characters from this episode here that we got a good bunch of? We got Durin. It was a pretty Durin heavy episode.
I loved it. I now see I was on the exact opposite side of this. This was one that held my attention the entire episode. I loved everything that happened in Khazad-dûm. The back and forth between King Durin, Little Durin, and Big Durin, you
Yeah.
know, with where to actually dig the hole for bring basically light back into Khazad-dûm
Right.
to the what was it Issa, his wife,
Yeah.
which she went, she would drop that rock and she went down, she found this cavern and something's going on down there. Now, what I heard rumor is it's that water monster that was
Mhm.
outside of the doors of Durin.
Oh, I see.
Yes,
Okay.
that's what I've heard. That's the theory. That's what's down there because it's a monster that was released from the deep
I
that
see.
would kind of fall in line with what that is there. But we also seen the doors. We finally seen
That
the
yeah.
doors in whole, which was really cool to see.
Speak friend
So
and enter. Yeah. That was cool.
yeah, that was
Big unveiling. And
yeah.
Sauron didn't give a crap.
No, he didn't care at all. He was like, well, I told you to keep it short. But he is twisting uh Celebrimbor like nothing. He's playing him like a fiddle. It's almost kind of I feel
Yeah.
bad watching it happen almost. Like, dude, you have no idea what's really happening to you right here.
I think he does though, because in this episode, Celebrimbor kind of calls him out, like, "No, I don't really want to do that." And boy, he calls I'm not even gonna attempt the fake Elven Sauron name. He tells Sauron like, you're good at just like dropping hints and planting seeds and making people think that they're doing something that's not your idea completely. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Caleb Brimboard recognizes it, yet he's still, I guess, maybe out of his own hubris, or he just continues to do the work.
I think a little of that's a seed that Dern placed when he went and visited him. Say, hey, my dad, this isn't him. He wasn't greedy before this. What's up with this ring? This ring
Yeah,
is changing my dad. What did you put in this ring? And
yeah,
that's when he goes back and I think it's Adar. That he was questioning him. He's like, we, added deceit. It's like, no, dude, you're twisting all of this, but that there was that happened. Then you also go back to the whole everything that happened back in Numenor
yeah,
with the Sea Guard and that whole situation, the squirmy little prick that just starts twisting everything around.
What's up with
Yep.
the daughter? Like, I don't remember the daughter having this last season, having this like real. There's a
She
like a there was a heel turn with this daughter that happened kind of unexpectedly for
Well, if
me.
I remember right, she was completely against the idea of them going and sailing the Middle Earth. She
Yeah,
didn't. She wasn't for it at all. And then when her brother dies, or they think he's dead, spoiler alert, uh, and he comes home and he's not there. That's when she completely goes off the rails.
right.
So it's like then she works on that whole was it Alpha Farazan, the guy that's
Yeah,
now the
yeah,
king,
right.
which he gives off some really cool bad guy vibes. I mean, I'm digging him now. He's a squirmy little, you know, sea snake son. I was like, yeah, no, I'm not digging you at all. And even he doesn't like him because you can tell it's like when he said like your mother's seen your end, and if you don't complete this task, I'm telling you, I'll have to see someone else. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
so you're gonna off your child because you can't complete what you want him to do.
Yeah, it's very subtle language. I guess it could have meant a lot of things, but he is giving off some bad guy vibes for sure. Pretty obvious one.
Well, then you have the
Uh,
whole Ellendale, the captain.
yeah.
I mean, that whole thing, and then his son's buddy. I can't remember
Yeah.
his name, but yeah, he was.
He died. He did.
Oh, dude. But he got some licks in. But the minute he turned his back, you knew what was going to happen. Because it's classic wormy, bad guy, type thing. Pick
Right.
up the sword and stab him. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, I haven't been a fan of anything that's happened really in Numenor. It's like,
Yeah.
it's been irritating at best for me. This
Right.
year, I enjoyed, and I think I enjoyed the episode as a whole more because it seemed more focused.
Yeah.
It was on three different things going on, and it was very pointed at what it was trying to tell you in those three different stories that were happening. You
Yeah.
weren't there long. I would say you weren't there longer than you needed to be. Yeah, I think they accomplished what they were trying to do.
Mhm.
Because even at the end of this episode, you see Farazan uncover the stone, the Palantir.
Yeah.
So he's now going to reach into it and look into it. So yeah, there's a lot. I'm guessing there's a lot more that's going to happen here before we actually see the downfall. But we've seen trailers, which I think were deceiving. I thought it was going to happen in Numenor. It's actually going to happen at the city that they're at right now. That the whole battle that's coming.
Okay. Okay. So we do have what, 3 episodes left? That's what, 6, 7, and 8, right? Is it a total of 8 episodes this season?
I think it's 8. Yes.
Yeah. So I just like with this pacing though, I could see it like they keep dropping so many hints of the fall of Numenor. It's on the brink. It's beautiful and it's also ruinous. Like they're just like the way Sauron talks about it. Like either he knows the future of it or can sense it or whatever. I'm almost like, do you think we'll see the sinking of Numenor by the end of this season, or is that a next season thing?
I don't think by this season. I think it's going to be in season 3 or 4. That's
Yeah,
something I don't think they can truly speed that up too much. Because right now they're kind of out of order on like somehow some of the things are happening as is. Like
yeah,
apparently the rings are being forged kind of out of order, but it's something they went forward with for whatever storytelling they want to do and adaptation they're doing.
right.
Um, we didn't see giant elf this time Gandalf or
Yeah,
or yeah shall we say Gandalf, we don't know yet, but we all know, let's be real.
right.
uh, the Dark Wizard. I see that. See, what I'm worried about is we didn't get anything from him or Poppy or any of them in the Dark Wizard, and I think we're gonna get too much of them in the next episode.
I don't like that. I liked it the way they did the first few episodes where you got each episode had a little bit of everybody. You know what I mean? Like I like that because it keeps me interested and I like checking in with every storyline. But then for some reason, halfway through the season, they're like, nope, just kidding. And then like here's an episode with half of the characters, and then next week you'll get the other half of the characters.
Yeah,
I'm
which
like,
even yeah, just like even the Galadriel stuff, we've seen her for 2 seconds
yeah,
at the
exactly.
at the very end of this episode. That's how the end of that episode 4 ended, and then we had to wait until like the last 2 minutes to get anything
Yeah.
from her, and it's her and Adar that are gonna team up, which I don't buy because that doesn't kind of fit with anything else. You
Yeah.
know, orcs and elves becoming friends. Yeah, that
Yeah.
that would rub a lot of people the wrong way if they try to pull that off.
That's destined to fail, I think. Um, it'll be interesting. I don't know. We've got this big battle, though. I can see that happening next episode, right?
Well, they're at the doorstep,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah,
it
yeah.
has to start.
It
Now,
has to
this
start next
I would
episode.
not be shocked if this goes on for the next 3 episodes. I feel like it's gonna be like a siege type thing. There's a river there now. We know the river needs to be dammed
Yeah.
before they can actually get there, and then the fight takes place. What is Galadriel's part going to be in this? Because she's there. Is she gonna? How is she going to go ahead and warn everybody? We already
Yeah.
know that she doesn't have her ring because her ring went back with Elrond
Mm,
back to the High King. So the High King now has two of the three rings.
yeah.
So I don't know how all that's going to play its part.
Who well said? I think is as far as storylines go this episode. I mean, Doran got he got his little golden collar again, right? He's
Yeah, yeah
considered
he's
his
back.
son.
Yeah, he's back in the good graces of Daddy. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, Issa was like, I want you to promise you'll never wear one of those rings because she sees it corrupting him,
Yeah, yeah.
and so does Dern, and they know something's up.
Mhm.
But right now, everything is good. They're
Yeah.
finding, the light shafts, but he's becoming more greedy. He wants to dig deeper into the mountain, which I hope they don't speed up too far. I don't. When are we going to see the fall of Khazad-dûm?
I don't know. That happens after The Hobbit, I thought.
Does it happen? Yeah, I'm not sure the time frame of that.
I
And
think that's what happens because one of the dwarves skeletons that like Pippin and Gandalf come across in Khazad-dûm. Because you remember when they first get to Khazad-dûm, Gimli is like, "Oh, the roaring fires! You'll see a feast you've never seen before." Like he's all
yeah,
excited, and then when they all walk in, they're like, "This is no part. This is a tomb." Like they're surprised by the state of Khazad-dûm. So the fall of it doesn't happen until sometime between The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
I'm curious if they're going to speed that up.
I don't know. Maybe.
I really feel.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, they were hinting at it last season when
Yeah.
they showed the Belrog
Right.
or Bullrog, yeah. And but the thing is, I feel like he's even sinking deeper into the mountain. Like I don't think he's even trying to get out right now. So if they continue to dig deeper and deeper into the mountain, which this episode was telling us they were going to, because Dern
Yeah.
was telling his head guy, keep going. And little Dern, that's funny, I'm referring to him as little Dern, was like, dude, no, dad, chill. There's something in this mountain that just not, we're gonna wake something up that shouldn't be woken up.
Yeah, this one, I think, so this time they were cracking some holes in the walls just to get some light back into Khazad-dûm, but I think what eventually wakes up the Balrog is them just mining for mithril, like, it
Yeah.
becomes this commodity, right? Where, like, the elves want it and men want it, and, it's kinda becomes their cash cow, and the ring kinda tainted ring kinda helps the leaders, the Doran, men kinda, like, keep being like, "Well, let's keep going," and they delve too deep and too greedily. Um, what about I forget what's the name do you remember The Hobbit trilogy, right?
Yes.
That main dwarf that with the black hair and it was like he was like sexy dwarf
Oh,
Swix.
yeah.
Was his name Durin?
I want to say yes. I
So he
can.
was like, was he like next in line? You think,
Yeah, I
or like
think he was one of the Durns. Yeah, 'cause
he's a descendant,
he's a
right?
king. Yeah.
Yeah. Or it's at a time, right, where it's like they are. I don't know if he was like cast out of Khazad-dûm or his clan was, or Khazad-dûm, the people left and then came back. I think that's what it was. I think something drove
The
the
dragon.
population.
There was,
Oh, is that what it
yeah, in
was?
the Hobbit, there was a dragon that took over the mountain.
Yes,
So
that's right.
that was what happened in that movie. Well, in that series.
Khazad-dûm, it was it Smaug that did it?
Yeah, it was Smaug.
Okay.
Thorn.
So
It was Thorin. Thorin.
oh, Thorn. Okay. Okay, I gotcha. Because I was
Close
wondering
enough.
if he was if because this group that lives in Khazad-dûm, it's that they're not like the only dwarves. I mean,
Oh
we
yeah,
know that
those
from this
like
episode. There's six at least six other clans of them out there
yeah.
in the world. And I was just curious. I forgot where the dwarves from The Hobbit, if they were like Khazad-dûm dwarves or there was something else. We know at least a few of them. They retired at Khazad-dûm. That's the skeletons that we saw in the Lord of the Rings. But um, anyway, back on track. This episode. Anything else of interest happened this episode?
I mean, there's a lot that happened,
I feel
it's
that way too. I can't like I just watched it and I'm like, well, we kind of
it's
already talked
easy
about that.
for
Already
it to
talked
go
about
ahead
that.
and yeah, just kind of condense it real tight, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I mean, we're talking about what happened in Numenor. I mean, you see sides being taken.
Yeah.
So there's going to be some type of civil war or something that's going to happen in Numenor before the fall. There's a lot. I think there's a lot that's still supposed to take place there. And then you actually even see Farazan
Yeah.
mentioning, the elf tower beyond the sea that only, the keenest of eyes can see at the top of the
Right.
tower. So it's almost like he's thinking about wanting to go west or
Mm,
east, go further east,
right.
which I think actually, if we look like into lore, is what causes the downfall of Numenor. Because I think they do go, and
Mm.
then all the waves start crashing, the destruction of Numenor. That whole thing actually spawns that on. So it's like a greed type thing, or evil starts kind of infiltrating them, and that's really the downfall of it. But yeah, there isn't
It,
much more.
it's it's strange. One thing that's strange about this show is that uh the story of the Lord of the Rings is fairly straightforward. Like you got a lot of backstory, but like stuff doesn't feel so spread out as far as years. Even though the story of the Lord of the Ring, it takes place over like a year or more than a year.
It
Like it
goes a
does
little while, yeah.
yeah, it doesn't feel that way, but it's a long walk and it takes them a long time. But this show truly feels like they took generations of people and characters and just kind of smushed it into a few years timeline because everything feels so epic and so big and so like prophesized and so grandeur, but it also feels small because we're like on the ground with these characters and we're hearing them talk to one another. And it's kind of a weird dichotomy where it almost feels like they took a story like Lord of the Rings, because the Lord of the Rings has a beginning, middle, and end. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like introduction to the Shire, introduction to people, and it's got a plot. This ring's real bad. We need to destroy it, and there's going to be a bunch of obstacles in our way to destroy this thing. But over the course of a beginning, middle, end, the three act structure, we're gonna get there. We're gonna be heroes. You know what I mean? It's like a
Yeah.
very even though the Lord of the Rings is a great story, you can boil it down to a kind of fairly simple story, you know? Versus Rings of Power, which it's kind of like there's the rings, but there's also Numenor, there's also Galadriel, there's also the elves, and it's just like it feels like a bunch of kind of different muddled parts that are a little more cobbled together, I guess.
Yeah, then you have the orcs that don't like, Sauron either. So
Yeah.
it's like, hold on, I was never trained to think that. I always thought that they would basically be his, his puppets.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot going on, and it does feel scatterbrained at times,
Yeah.
and there's too much, and that's why I think I like this episode a little more because it was more, like I said, more focused. I was like, okay, this is what's happening. This is what you want to tell me. You don't want to tell me, 6 different things in an hour, but then I understand what you're saying as well. Just touching base for 5 minutes with a character in an hour show isn't going to hurt anything.
Yeah.
Just say, okay, don't forget about this person here. He's still here. Are they still with Tom? Have they moved on? Where are Poppy and Nori? Are they
Yeah.
still with the Stowfoots? There's
The
stores.
stores.
That's
Yeah,
what
the
they were. The
stores.
stores.
I think that's what it is. It felt less scatterbrained for me when we were able to touch on everybody's story. It felt more, and I don't know if that's just ingrained in me how old TV used to be. You know what I mean? Like old television, serialized television still would check in with everybody, and you wouldn't get these long gaps. Now, and it's not just Lord of the Rings show, but like other shows where you'll check in with characters. Sometimes it's a span of 2, 3 episodes where it's like, "What happened to them?" And then they have an episode that's all about them, right? And you get
Yeah,
all caught up and you're
just
like
them. Yeah.
and it's just like, they play with those things, and I'm sure that's fun as a writer, but as far as a TV viewer, and especially when you've got so many big ideas and big plots going on at the same time, it just feels more comfortable for me, even though we're seeing more plots and more characters during a single episode. I'm able to focus my brain because it just like it drips and drops of each character as opposed to I'm forgetting what's happening with,
I think
you
it
know.
prevents you from forgetting and not caring.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
If you're away from something for so long, you no longer remember what's going on, or it takes the 5-minute recap in the beginning of the episode for you to be like, oh, that's right, that's happening. Should I care about that? I mean, they don't think I should care about it. They stayed away from it for so long,
Right.
but then they
Yeah.
they throw some big event that's going to be connected with it. Which like, oh crap, okay, I should be paying attention to this.
Um and I don't know if it's great that we were able to basically, even though a lot happened this episode, that you and I were able to kind of condense it down pretty easily to like, well, what actually did happen. There was a lot of it was very dialogue heavy.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, to be fair, it's like you can kinda summarize that dialogue and the feelings between characters before and after scenes.
Oh, we didn't talk about the
Um,
ring that made that one elf go disappear.
oh, yeah, yeah, that was a little, Easter egg, I guess, right?
Yeah, they're
Kinda how
working on
Frodo did it.
yeah. They were working on the ring trying to make the one for men, and they were just she vanished. And then she actually wound up on the other side, like kind of Frodo does. Now they said
Yes.
now I'm guilty of watching like Nerd of the Rings, and apparently Celebrimbor and Galadriel both have been on the other side. They've been to Valar.
Mm.
So since they've been there, they're able to see like anyone that puts the ring on.
Oh, I
So there
see.
is there is no like invisibility to them.
Right.
And they don't say that, but they hint, and since I knew that,
Yeah.
I can look back at the scenes like, okay, that's how he was able to get the hammer from her and know
Yeah,
exactly where the ring was and pull the ring off.
right.
But they don't tell anybody that. So you have
No.
no idea. If you're just watching your casual and you don't watch, dive into other videos to figure out what's going on, you would
Yeah.
have no clue. Like, how did he know her hand was there? How did he know where to pull the ring from?
That's
All
kinda how
that
I
stuff.
felt. I was just like, "Oh, I guess Celebrimbor's just good, I guess. He knows
Yeah.
how to what to
A
do."
little bit of ninja skills.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was interesting. It made me think that I wonder if like all these 19 rings have their kind of their own individual power set and the one ring can just do it all, baby. I don't know. Because I don't
Well,
know if we even touched on I mean, the one ring to rule them all and what we actually see from the Lord of the Rings is that it sends Frodo, makes him disappear just like basically exactly like this ring did.
yeah.
Um and it had the same kind of influence and it was a big weight and it kind of tainted and corrupted people that were kind of like, especially weak of heart or whatever. But I don't know if we actually saw it do any like, you know what I mean? Like Durin's ring definitely has like some kind of like magic power set. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it enabled him to do something special to basically use his own race's given talents of like being one with the mountain and kind of like reinvigorating that. And that's specific. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we never saw the One Ring do anything like that.
No, like we've
Um,
already seen the ones that the elves have. We
yeah,
see it with Galadriel, we see it with the High King. Their heightened awareness, we'll say,
right.
probably the best way of saying it, of what's going on. So
Yeah.
it's only time till we see them give them the men, and like, what are those rings gonna do? Like, how's it gonna twist them?
And I wonder if maybe that's just because every character in the Lord of the Rings was so hesitant to actually put the thing on and like wear it, because when you do, it's just like a big red beacon for Sauron. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, so they were all none of them even wanted to touch the damn thing, and none of them wanted to carry it, and it was just a burden just to carry it around. So I wonder if there is actually a larger like power set, quote unquote, for the One Ring, but we just never knew about it because no one dared to actually put it on.
and there's got to be, there's
Yeah,
got to be something with it. I mean, if it controls everything else, it's got to give us something, and I think that's something we're going to learn in this show. I mean, they have to, because if it's
yeah,
about essentially this one ring, yeah, all these other rings are going to exist, but it's essentially about this one ring and this one
right.
guy.
Yeah,
So I mean, that's really, if we're going to take this whole show and boil it down to that one thing, that's what this is. Nothing else. You can strip everything else away, and it's the forging of all these rings down to one and Sauron. Yeah, I keep on messing that up tonight. So
Sarah.
yeah, Sarah, little old Sarah, selling Girl Scout cookies.
She's very pretty with her long blonde hair. I'll give her that. Um, I guess that's about
What
it
the
for this week's episode.
fuck?
I was talking. Oh, Sauron.
Yeah, little Sarah with long blonde hair.
Sauron with his in his elf
Oh, the
form.
L. Okay, okay. I was so spaced. Oh my god. I was like, what the hell are you talking about?
Oh my gosh. That's it for us, man. This week. We'll be back next week to talk about episode 6 of The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. We'll see if I like that one episode any more. This one just, I don't know what it was. I was just like, it felt a little empty to me. It just felt like, yeah, okay, all right. But we'll see. Maybe I just really wanted to check in with not Gandalf. Maybe that's
Tom
what it was.
Bombadil.
Yeah, and Tom Bombadil. I guess are we going to see him again next episode? I
I
guess,
think
huh?
depends on what they give us.
Yeah,
If they give us a jump forward in time and the stranger moves on, I mean, honestly, it may not be what we want, but it may be the best way to keep the aura around Tom Bombadil.
right.
So I guess only time will tell when it comes to that.
We'll be back next week to talk about it. Until then, be sure to like this episode. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. We got all kinds of things going on. I'm sure after Lord of the Rings, we'll keep. We do have some plans after Rings of Power ends, going into the holiday season and stuff too. So uh, be sure to check that out, and we'll probably announce that towards the end of this series here. But yeah, anything else until next week?
Just have some elfin bread. I don't know.
Oh yeah, some lambus bread. Yeah.
There we go. Enjoy your lembas bread.
See ya.